Inspiration. Inspiration. Inspired. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nick. This week's video is going to be part 2 of my copy or inspired, how to create a lettering work from an inspiration. In last week's video, which is part 1, I talked about the difference between a copied and an inspired work, and I also shared my opinions on how to tell whether a work is copied or inspired. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. I'll put the link in the description below. This week's video is part 2. I'm going to show you the step-by-step process on how to turn an inspiration into an inspired work. Let's talk about sources of inspiration. For lettering or calligraphy, our sources of inspiration are not necessarily someone else's work. It doesn't have to be a lettering work or a calligraphy work or a hand-painted sign. We could get inspiration from anything. Some examples are you could get inspiration from nature, you could get inspiration from food, from animals, from patterns that you see. Inspiration could be anything. And one advantage of getting inspiration that is not someone else's work is that it helps you avoid copying because you're not going to base your work on someone else's work. It may be difficult to imagine how can you turn a non-lettering work as your source of inspiration, but that is what I'm going to show you in this video. So the first step is to look for inspiration. Inspiration is everywhere. You just have to keep your eyes open, and then you have to digest what you see, digest your thoughts so that you'll be able to produce ideas. And from those ideas, you create your inspired work. Earlier this week, as I was cleaning my laptop files, I stumbled upon a folder with my travel photos and videos from my Tokyo trip last year, and then I remembered the reason why I took those photos and those videos is for me to use as an inspiration to create an inspired work. But obviously I forgot to do that when I came back. That is why I'm going to use those photos and those videos to use as my source of inspiration for the lettering that I'll be working on for this video. I decided on 2 video clips to use. First is this video clip that I took when I went to Nakameguro. So I went to that place because I want to visit Traveler's Company to buy some journals for when I try journaling. In this area, there is a long river with very interesting shops with very interesting signages. So as I was walking there, I took photos and videos of the different signages. Then as I was reviewing those videos, I saw the sign that I really like. It is a signage of a store that is shaped like a block that is melting. So there are like drips flowing down from the sign. And then I thought this could be very interesting to add to my lettering. So that is why the first inspiration that I'll be using is the sign with the dripping effects. After settling with that video as source of inspiration, I thought maybe I could look for another inspiration just in case it might look too simple to just add some dripping effect to my brush lettering work. So I continued to go through my videos, and then I saw this video when I went to Roppongi Hills. So I went to that area because I wanted to visit a museum there. Then as I was walking around the area, I saw that there is a small area in that place where they set up booths that showcases New Zealand products because I think there was a football match between Japan and New Zealand during that time. And then at the entrance of that area, they have this very big carved log with New Zealand's tribal carvings. So I thought that's an interesting idea that I may apply to lettering. I think I could add some carvings or some designs to my brush lettering. That's why I chose that as my second source of inspiration. I won't show you the process of looking for inspiration because I don't want to show you a video of me sitting on my laptop watching videos. Anyway, that is the first step. Let's move on to the second step, which is sketch your ideas. In this step, we are going to turn our thoughts and our ideas into actual sketches to work on. This process is literally sketching. I grabbed several sheets of paper. One is white, one is black, one is craft. It doesn't have to be a new sheet of paper because we're just going to do sketches. And with those paper, we just sketch our ideas on how we're going to incorporate our inspiration into our lettering work. Another thing I do for this step is I play with different pens. So as I sketch my ideas, I try using different pens to see which pen will work best for my ideas. Another thing I do is I experiment with colors. So I try to use different colors sometimes just to see what works. And in this step, I also try new things. I try to think of ways on how to improve the work. I try different styles. So as I sketch, I try to change small parts of what I did just to see what I'm going to like. So here is a clip of my sketching process. that is my sketching process. For the clip that I just showed earlier, I think it took me over 30 minutes because my camera stopped recording earlier. So for my sketching process, there is no fixed time on how much time I spend on sketching. Sometimes it takes me just 5 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes hours, sometimes even more than a day. I usually stop sketching once I am able to come up with something that I'm really happy about and excited to share. But for the sake of this video, I stop after 30 minutes because I need time to edit this video and post it tomorrow. But normally I will continue my sketching process until I get something that I really like. Now let's move on to step number 3, which is start lettering or do the actual work. For the lettering that I'm going to do for this video, I'm going to do the word drip, and now I'm going to share with you my lettering process. And we're back! So here is my final lettering work. Let me know in the comments below if you think my work looks copied or if it looks inspired. I'll share with you my thoughts on why I think what I came up with is inspired and not copied. First is if you put them beside each other, obviously you'll see that they don't look alike, and there are not a lot of elements from this work that is based on my inspirations. But you might say, maybe that's because my sources of inspiration are not someone else's work. That's why they don't look similar. But I could say that my work is not copied because I didn't print the photographs that I took or trace the exact carvings. So for me, this is not a copied work. Before I end this video, I would like to go through the tips that I gave last week on how to avoid copying someone else's work. First tip that I gave last week is to avoid looking back at your inspiration when you're working. If you notice during the process video, I didn't go back to my laptop and play those videos again because you have to avoid looking back at your inspiration, or you're going to base your sketches too much on your source of inspiration and you're not going to refine it or improve it or add your own ideas to it. That is why it's very important for you not to keep on or not to look back to your source of inspiration. The second tip I gave you, to spend time in sketching and exploring. You can't skip the second step to go from looking for a source of inspiration and then doing the actual lettering right away, because if you skip the second step, you won't be able to put in your own ideas, and what you'll come up with is something very similar to your source of inspiration. The third tip I gave you last week is that your inspiration should only be a small amount of your work. So when you're going to refer to your source of inspiration, or when you're going to get something out of your inspiration, you don't get a lot of different elements. You only have to get like 1 or 2 elements from it. Because if you take a lot of elements from your source of inspiration and put it into your work, then your work is going to look very similar. It might have the same layout, same colors, same lettering styles. Then your work might look like it's been copied because you took a lot of elements from your inspiration. And that is my third tip to you, and my fourth and last tip to you is to trust your gut. This fourth tip is very, very important, because if you keep on doubting yourself, you'll always look back to your inspiration, and then the more you refer back to your source of inspiration, your work is going to be more and more similar to your inspiration. That is why you have to trust your gut. So those are the 4 tips I'm going to leave you with. I hope you enjoyed watching my step-by-step process on how to create an inspired work. Go give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments what you think of my final work. And if you have any video suggestions, just comment them down below and I'll check out what you want to see me do. I'll see you next week for another video. Bye!